You're live. That's what it says. Hello. Hello, YouTube. My name is Frida Weisel. I run a channel here on very Jewish subjects. I am a New Yorker with a great love for the city. And very rarely, although sometimes, I do live streams. And I'm going to wait a few minutes and see if I can do a live stream and check in with all of you wonderful people on YouTube. I had an interview scheduled for 5 p.m. New York time with a lovely woman from the UK, which was supposed to be 10 p.m. her time. And it seems she has internet connection issues. So that interview isn't happening, but I'm already here and I kind of spent some time before an interview psyching myself up to talking, to listening. So I'm all psyched up, wound up, and I thought I'd check in. I've wanted to do so many live streams for a while now. So here's my opportunity. Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. Andrea, hi. Um, Hi Ariel and Federico from Italy and Gang 98. Myself from Los Angeles. And I can pronounce your name, Saskia Justin from Belgium. Oh, I'm so happy to see all of you. I feel like I feel like we're sort of friends. I hope everyone is having a nice extended 4th of July weekend, if that is what you celebrate if you're American. Or just the beginning of summer if you're in our part of the world. It's like 80 degrees in New York City today, really scorching hot. And yellow is my new favorite summer color, and I'm wearing everything in yellow. And really feeling the summer in the Hasidic community. People have left the neighborhood for the Catskills, so it's gotten really quiet in those parts of Brooklyn, and some places are closed, especially on Sunday, which is why I didn't give a tour today, and I was instead scheduled for a long form interview, which didn't work out. Hi, Barbara from Portland and Kim from Oregon. Oh, thank you, Ellen. I appreciate you telling me that you can hear me. Also, Andrea. How are you? How is everyone? Tom from Muncie, New York. That's an interesting name for someone from Muncie, New York. And from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, one of my favorite places. So, what are you all doing? How's it going? I gonna have a medical procedure later this week, maybe in time of recovery. I'm gonna be doing live streams. I have no idea. I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna be doing while I have to take it easy to recover. And I thought maybe I'll just come on here and see how everyone's doing on YouTube. Um, I've published a few videos that have gotten people to make comments that have been really interesting. Today I published my walk through Bedford Avenue, which was really exhausting. My cameraman had a sore bicep the following day. There's a big difference between walking an avenue and walking an avenue to shoot for a visual representation. And I've gotten some comments about what I said about Chabad Lubavitch. There were the mitzvah tanks, which are these RVs that are repurposed by people that I would call Lubavitch, from the Chabad Hasidic sect, and they will ride around, and I think they stop in places and will hand out maybe candles or matzah during Passover season, or they will try to get people to put on tefillin, men to put on tefillin. whatever it is, I made comments about that and also about the Messiah is Here sticker, which is all over Brooklyn. It's a picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the last Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it says the Messiah is here. And I made a comment about that being Lubavitch, and someone said to me, "That's not Lubavitch. They're Mishachisten. They're not Lubavitch." And to me, they are a subgroup of Lubavitch. They're a faction of Lubavitch. So that's something that we are now debating on Instagram because I posted about it and I've heard a lot of different opinions about that. And I also got a lot of feedback on the video about the Hasidic part of Bedford Avenue, which is also really interesting. People have a lot of memories and sites that are of importance to them, which I love to hear about. And I'm working on a video about the bike lane, which is a big story in the Hasidic community right now. So these are like the things that are on my mind with regards to that video I just published. I'd love to hear your thoughts also. It's a little difficult. This is not a room where you can like raise your hand and say what you think. Like, are Meshachisten who believe that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is the Messiah, are they Lubavitch? Do they not count as Lubavitch at all? Or are they a subgroup of Lubavitch? How can they not be Lubavitch? It's like a faction might not represent all of Lubavitch. That might be the most visible form of Lubavitch, but that's like what I see. I'm no expert on Lubavitch at all. In fact, thinking of doing a video this summer of going to Crown Heights and actually making the video explicitly about my view as a Satmar, ex-Satmar person and my view on Lubavitch from that perspective, because I can't give you any authoritative story. I can only tell you how I see it, which might be interesting, might be not, but definitely will not be authoritative. Mary says, "Hello, Frida. Love the Brooklyn Walk. Born and raised Crown Heights and East Flatbush. Went to Brooklyn College. So many memories. Oh, these are all like in the heart of here. Hello from the UK and happy Treason Day to my American friends. I am toasting and cheers with a hot dog to you. We are enjoying this Treason Day. And also, we had like amazing fireworks here, visible from all ends. Unfortunately, the dogs get really stressed out by it. Yes, the Catskills are still a thing. To the commenter, Pink Dostoevsky, who says, wow, the Catskills are still a thing. They're a huge thing. I've done some videos about the Catskills. I wish someone would let me come to their bungalow so I can get a little deeper inside. But the Catskills are such a big issue, and I get comments about the neighbors who are not Hasidic and infrastructure issues and community change issues, which are more complicated, sensitive topics, besides for the fact that Jews are still going to the Catskills, but mostly now it is Orthodox Jews. Shalom from cold and rainy Cape Town, South Africa. Praying for a full and speedy recovery from your procedure. Thank you. I had South African visitors on my tour this Friday, which is extremely rare, and they were the loveliest couple. And they sent regards from friends from South Africa. So maybe you. Thank you for the well wishes with my procedure. I will keep you guys posted. Amy says, take it from someone who had a hard recovery from what is supposed to be an easy surgery. Surgery is surgery. Be kind to yourself and take time to heal. Thank you. It's unfortunately a medically necessary procedure. I'm not excited. Surgery is surgery. I'm super nervous. So, yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. I've known people who went in for a minor surgery and it got complicated, and it was they were back in the hospital for days, and I'm hoping nothing like that happens. I have no tours on my calendar for like 2 weeks, and I'm hoping I'll be back on my feet. I think the hardest part is going to be to do nothing. That's like what I dread the most. And following doctor's orders, like to rest, which is really hard for me. Tracy says, God bless you, Frida. We are in Homer, Alaska, enjoying our summer. Congratulations. Thank you so much. I actually was thinking recently of trying to find a remote place in the world where there are Jews living observant Jewish lives and joining them for a few days and trying to tell the story of what it is like, where it's so different from New York, where the entire infrastructure exists to contribute to the ease of living an Orthodox life and to see the contrast. And I was thinking, where would be interesting? And one part of my mind was like Asia, and the other was like Alaska. I don't even know if there are Orthodox Jews in Alaska. I have no idea, but I thought that would be interesting. Let me look at more comments. My good friend Sarah, who's been on my tour, says, "Oh, hey, what's up, girl? What's up with you?" Psalm says, "Hello. Have you watched the video short by Doodad about his dog and the fourth fireworks? I have not, but my neighbor, who has the cutest dog named Julio, had to give him was tried to give him some kind of medicine, and he still has a really, really hard time. And my dog, who's not alive anymore, also had a really hard time with the fireworks. He would go into a container inside the closet. He was a very macho dog. You couldn't lift him. He had to do things his way. Like a he was not this kind of mushy dog. He had a very big style. He had like kind of like, I think I'm a very strong dog vibe. And to see him quivering inside that container was so painful. And it was so terrible during COVID. The fireworks were out of control. People were setting them off on the blocks everywhere. And now they were just in like what seemed 8 areas within view from here. Um, Here in Edinburgh, Scotland, we have Chabad. Will you ever do a video about them? I would love to do a video about Chabad. Chabad is very out there and they can speak for themselves. I can't speak for them. They have so many Chabad people have made videos about Chabad, so I'm not the right person to cover them. And that was always my view. But I've been learning a lot about them, and I feel a little bit like sharing about my learning process. Like as someone who grew up Satmar, we had this view that they were strange, that they were doing outreach, which is weird and unnecessary. And I'm kind of getting to know them a little, and maybe I want to share that process. And maybe I'm a little nervous that along the way, I will say things that they will all come at me and say, "No, you're wrong." Because I will say they are probably the most vocal about online and in general when they feel I say something. I hear from a lot of Chabad people, which I invite. Please tell me your critique. I love it, but I also don't want to put out a video that I work hard on and that I try my best on that is misrepresenting sensitive topics. I try to only go where I know I have like a grasp on a topic. I don't have to be an expert. I don't pretend to know everything and I don't want to know everything. I don't want to put it forth as if I know everything. Not knowing things is a part of knowing, it's part of learning. But having a grasp is a different thing. And there are some things I feel like I know enough to have a grasp on the topic. With Chabad, I do not. But I'm learning and I'm trying to get a grasp. I'm really trying. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have a Chabad friend who's going to give you a tour." But I'm like, I don't know enough to be able to be a discerning conduit between the tour guide and my viewers. So I don't know how to handle covering Chabad. Um, Israel says, "My tata needs surgery in September. I wish him a refuah shalema to get well soon and that it should go by easily." Tessa says I share a name with her grandmother. My name Frida, I think, is a like old-timey name. Older people have this name. Um, I'm sure that Chabad would love to talk with you and interview for you and outreach for them, Teehee, which is true. Oh, when are you going to have an interview with Viggy Vibes? Viggy Vibes is this guy who does reaction videos of like Hasidic content. And he's done some reaction videos to my videos, which I really appreciate. It's really sweet. Um, what's happening in the scene of Hasidic internet is it's exploding. It's just amazing. People are like, on the one hand, are Hasidim even allowed to look on the internet? And on the other hand, there is a whole like buffet of options that has cropped up of vloggers from inside the community, and now there are people who are even on the periphery and outside, and total outsiders, creating a whole niche of entertainment for Hasidim. And Viggy Vibes is one of them, but of so many, I think it's still very, very male voices. Mostly they're men creating content. There are a couple of women from the like Yiddish speaking Hasidic community. I'm talking about that particular world. Um, from the Yiddish speaking Hasidic community, there are mostly men, but so many different voices cropping up. And it's just amazing to see. And it's changing the community. And who knows what the future holds. Martine, hi. You're so kind, always. I love that. Hi, Jeff. I absolutely love my umbrella. And it's a memory of that tour I came to without an umbrella. I almost always carry everything you could possibly need in my bag for a day. You caught me unprepared because I had lost my umbrella somewhere. So that's what happened. Now I have a new one. Shalom aleichem to Shimmy. How are you? Um, okay, Kinor Spielman says there are indeed different ideas within Lubavitch. The biographies explain this example, Adin Steinsaltz and David Bialy's Hasidism, A New History. I love actually David Beale's Hasidism, but I haven't read Adin Steinsaltz. Is it also academic and not hagiographic like Beale's? I wonder. I would read it. A good time to read or watch movies. Not Jewish, but love your channel from the Basque country. I'm sorry, I don't know where that is. Please inform me. I'm actually working on a video about Jewish movies, and I have some Jewish movies to watch for that. I've watched some of it, but like classics, and I haven't watched Yentl, believe it or not. So that's something I'm going to be watching while I'm recovering, hopefully. Um, so, Jeff, do you think I should go to Gibraltar? Is that what you're saying? Hi, Signal Hill hiker. Happy summer to you as well, if it's summer for you. I've gotten very used to how small the world is now, to realize that it's not summer for everyone, because Australians are amazing and they all come to New York and they come on my tours. I can sometimes have an entire tour of Australians and maybe New Zealanders with like, I'm absolutely amazed that they sit on an airplane for so long to come to New York. And I've met so many. They come when it's our winter, they come when it's our summer. And that's how I get a sense that the world is small now. It's not like everyone has summer, everyone has summer at the same time, and that everyone is American and celebrates July 4th. It's just globalization is like a real thing. Oh, Wendy says, hi Frida, I love your channel. As someone living off Bedford myself, I had a question. In your first video with Pearl, you mentioned your family follows the same Rebbe and she shakes your hand. Why? Because, okay, so to contextualize your question, Wendy, the Satmar sect split in two, and there are two Rebbes in Satmar, the older brother, Rabbi Aaron, and the younger brother, Rabbi Zalman Leib. Rabbi Zalman Leib has a larger following in Williamsburg, and Rabbi Aaron has a larger following in Kiryas Joel, where I grew up, but both have followers in both. So in Williamsburg, Pearl's family follows the minority faction for Williamsburg, but whatever it is, when she said it, I said my family also follows that faction, and I think it was exuberance, it's Pearl's personality that made her shake my hand, but also maybe I have a little bit of a sense that even though I'm ex-Hasidic and I left, there is still that factionalism where people are like, we're on the same side. I'll have it about Satmar where people are like, we're the same sect. Yes, you left, but we're both Satmar. Or um, yes, you left, but we're both the same faction. Like I had a feeling when I started to come to Williamsburg early in my tours that the Satmar meat shop, the butcher shop, that that was for the Aaron faction, the faction my family follows, that they were extra nice to me. That they were like, "Oh, you're family." Now I might have made it up. It might have been in my head. They never articulated it, but I had a feeling that it came from this kind of tribalism. You're one of us. So maybe that's what triggered her exuberance. But Pearl is Pearl, and I think it's more than anything that. Oh my, Alexandra says, hi Frida Shalom from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. My editor Lee Korek is from Brazil, but not Rio de Janeiro. Oh, Kathy, thank you so much for the gift. Kathy says, I thoroughly enjoy listening to all your videos on Hasidic Judaism. They are all great and very informative. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, it's very, very nice of you to give me that gift. Here is Azair Erlich Ein. Frida, where is your cat that sits in the basket? So, because I had an interview, to be totally honest, I moved the basket because I didn't want it to be in the shot. I will tell you the truth. I have been asked by several Hasidic people to please not have my cats in my shots because they're a little grossed out by cats, which is really hard for me to understand because my cats, both of them, a black and a gray, are adorable. One of them developed an issue of suckling when she was a baby. She was like this small when I picked her up from the shelter. And she had an issue, I guess, that she was taken from her mother too young. And she developed a tendency to suckle on my arm. And she's so cute. She's just the cutest thing. Whenever I'm away and I come back, she can't wait to like snuggle up to me. Clearly she has some kind of issue as a result of being separated from her mother as a baby. But I have this huge soft spot for her with her red bow and like her being in the crook of my arm. And the other one is the one that Chloe is the one that likes to be in the basket. But a lot of Hasidim are grossed out by cats. And sometimes people will meet me in Williamsburg. They'll say, please, I can't watch your videos when there's cats in them. Keep the cats out. So sometimes I'll kind of think, okay, let me just not take, like, especially if it's a long form interview and I feel like it's someone's story that I want others to watch, I I will take the basket away because the cat likes to sit here while I work. And now I was supposed to have an interview at 5, and the woman I was supposed to interview, a Hasidic woman, young Hasidic woman from the UK, like 20 years old, who wanted to share her story. She had internet issues, so she didn't show. So I didn't get to do the interview, but I had moved the basket because of that, and now it's returned. And they will soon come. They're in the vicinity. They'll come to the basket. Yes, Andrea, my cat Mona has attachment issues. She's so attached to me though, and to my cat sitter. Cats are the best. They are crazy. They're so different from dogs. They're so different from dogs. I can't even compare. Cameron says my mom is grossed out by cats. I think you just explained it. Meraldo says, have you ever been to Vienna, Austria? Would you consider to visit? I have not. I've never been. I've met, of course, a lot of Austrian tourists. And when I was in Poland, I learned that like there's like Austrians and Germans and the Polish and there's like different opinions about cultures and maybe who's better. And I don't, not making any comments, but I was like, I really want to go. I was in Poland with Nomi Seidman and she went to Vienna afterwards, but I didn't join her. She went to work on a different project. I would love to go. I would love to go. There's something about visiting a country where people speak German and feeling the familiarity with the language that makes it feel like homey. By the way, YouTube has just introduced dubbing, automatic dubbing on videos. So it'll take your videos and automatically add dubbing in different languages, which means you'll see me talk, but you'll hear an AI voice speak in different languages if you select the different languages. There's only a number of languages. I know Polish is available. I know German, I believe French, Korean, Japanese. Um, is it Portuguese? Maybe Spanish? I'm not entirely sure. But there's maybe about 10 languages, and one of them is German. And it was very fun to listen to the German and to be able to understand the German dubbing. It seemed pretty on point on the whole. And I love that. I love that about countries that speak German, that kind of ability to understand so much from the Yiddish. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Wayne says hi from Baltimore. Hi, Wayne. Claudia says, I thought Cat had a higher level of spirituality. Of course, right? Buddy says, anyone who tell you to remove your pets is not worthy of your time. Show them the door. I like your style. Signal Hill Hiker says, I read dogs think you're their master. Oh, I read that dogs think you're their master and cats think you're another random cat who sucks at hunting. Feels right to me. I love them both. It's totally true. They're so different. Andrew says, our cockatoo has attachment issues. We got him too early. Good thing my husband is a psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst. Our boy needs therapy. That's so funny. Ruby June says, I grew up as a Reformed Jew, so all the black hat Jews feel like a monolith to me. Your content has taught me so much about how deep the differences are between sects and how little mixing there is. You know what I'll say about that? I feel like it's really valuable to learn these nuances because once you start to see the differences, you start to see people, you start to see opinions, you start to see individuals instead of a glob. And I think a part of the issue often of what makes us afraid of others and judge others is that we see a big glob of people, like a horde of people, instead of a conglomerate of individuals. And I think that's why I love doing things like clothing nuances or head coverings, what's more modern, what's more conservative, because I feel like it allows you to see these differences. And I also really love to do that for Reform Jews, because I feel like a lot of Reform Jews carry a little bit of a wound towards Orthodox Jews, where they feel like Orthodox Jews reject them, don't see them as legitimate. And I'm not taking away from these hurt feelings, but I think it's good to create a little bit of a bridge. I always had a tender spot for creating a little bit of a bridge within the Jewish community itself. And I think that is a good thing, even if it doesn't so much go both ways always, which would have been nice if it did. Amy says, I love cats. I don't dislike dogs. We even have one, but there's something special about cats. Montelogic asks, dubbing in Yiddish Sprach. There is no dubbing in Yiddish. No, not so far. I'm shocked that there is auto translation in Yiddish. So what I do with all of my videos, I don't know if you guys know this, I actually have them subtitled. I don't do the bulk of it myself. I have someone do it because it's like each interview that takes an hour, that is about an hour or an hour and 20 minutes, will be like 4 hours of working on the subtitles. And that's after working off a automatic translation, like subtitle document, just fixing all the errors. Takes the woman who does it for me hours. And then I go in and the things that she couldn't fix because she didn't pick up on what we were talking, I fix. And that will take me a half hour to an hour. And then I upload it with the hopes that people who speak different languages or have hearing issues can access it, the content. And then I'll add automatic translation um, in various languages. So if you upload manually subtitles, you can then add automatic translations. And I add a bunch of languages. I try to figure out where people are from and like add languages. I know that people definitely speak Hebrew and Yiddish and German and French, Spanish. Those are definitely, and then I'll add a bunch of more. I'm not sure if people from these countries are watching. I'm not hearing as much from these countries, and I'll add those languages as well. And Yiddish is a more recent addition, and it's fairly on point. As someone who's bilingual, English to Yiddish, I always look at the subtitles, and I could say the automatic translation from English to Yiddish is pretty good, pretty impressive. And I'm surprised because there used to be very little available in Yiddish. ChatGPT has also become sort of fluent in Yiddish. I've become acquainted with ChatGPT recently, and it throws in Yiddishisms. It's like Yiddish is becoming more legitimate. I guess there's a very serious population that are native speakers, and that's the Hasidic community, so it makes sense. My good Zeldala, hi to you in Miami Beach. So happy to see you here. Sam says I speak Luxembourgish. Seriously, it's a language? I'd love to hear it. So you would compare it to Yiddish. Du kannst dat bestimmt verstehen. I can understand Luxembourgish. I didn't know it's a language. Have you ever considered looking into the lost books? It focuses on finding the books that either survive or were smuggled through Nazi Germany. I've actually found one in a local bookshop for $10. Wow, I'm very intrigued. Please tell me more. Maeve. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Good morning to Renhouse in Sydney, Australia. When you spend time in the Middle East, it makes you reconsider the whole black hat and suit lifestyle. Why? Because it's hot? Elizabeth says, wishing you well on your procedure and a very quick recovery. Thank you so much. I'm hoping for a good outcome. Jewish movies to watch, pretty please. The Chosen, A Life Apart, Hasidism in America. I'm a huge fan. Yes, A Life Apart, Hasidism in America is probably the best documentary about Hasidic Jews. And The Chosen, of course, is a classic. Love it. Yes, Martine, so much work goes into all of this. I have a cat I rescued in Yerushalayim, and he now lives with me in Canada. Wow, we should all rescue the cats from Jerusalem, Israel, roaming the streets looking for a home. How does the Hasidic community celebrate, or do they celebrate the 4th of July? Just curious. Thank you for the question. I was giving a tour on July 4th. It was normal every day. We saw the kids go home from school. The schools were even open on a summer day on July 4th. As a child, we always watched the fireworks, the firecrackers, we called them, which we were allowed to. There were no prohibitions. We did have a sense of pride towards America, especially after September 11, but we didn't observe the 4th of July. It wasn't like an observed holiday. So everything is open and running as usual on July 4th. Thank you. Divet Tank asks, how is your wonderful son? Thank you for asking. Seth is back in Minnesota in college for a summer job. He will be home later in the month, but not for my procedure. There's a Nazarite shul coming to New York City. Will you interview Rabbi Eduardo Kehilat Revival? He's Sephardic, but his wife is Ashkenazi, so he's down. Oh, thank you for telling me. I did not know of any of this. I will look into it. Enemies, A Love Story is a great movie based on the book by Isaac Bashevis Singer. Love what you do, Frida. Thank you. I have never heard of Enemies. I love Isaac Bashevis Singer, though. Jeff Corman says journaling. Is that what you suggest I do while I recover? What's the context? Have you considered exploring the Messianic Jewish community? What you're referring to are Jews that are Jews for Jesus, or Christians, is how I think they're generally seen, who call themselves Jews for Jesus. I don't know how to frame what they are, Messianic Jews, but essentially they believe um, in spreading the word, I think, to Jews. I've met quite a few chosen people, which is the group that I've met people of, the nicest people. That's all I can say that I know personally. I have not explored other strains of non-Judaism closely, like Christianity or Messianic Jews, which I see as connected, like sort of the same umbrella. Um, but I love all people, and I respect all different ways that people have faith. And the people I know that have this particular faith, um, that are believers, that I think they believe that Jesus is the Messiah. I'm not exactly sure how to frame their belief, but they're essentially um, Jews for Jesus, which to Jews makes them Christians. But I think they don't see it that way. Um, and I haven't explored it in my videos. I don't think it's really relevant. I have known people of that faith, and I have learned a little bit about their faith, and I respect all people of all faiths. But in my work, I haven't found it particularly relevant because I'm interested in subcultures, and I don't see it as a subculture. I would be interested in faiths that are subcultures. I really would love to cover nuns, those who live especially a celibate life, because I see that as a subculture that is adjacent to the subculture that I cover of female worlds, not the celibacy part, but the part of very intense pious female worlds, or at least that's what it seems from a distance. And I've been thinking of exploring it and how to handle learning about the life of a nun in a respectful way. And that's something I'm looking at, and I am always interested in the Amish. I was recently contacted by a woman who is ex-Jehovah's Witness that used to go to the church that was so close to my house growing up. So I grew up in Kiryas Joel. Our house at the time was the last in the Hasidic village, and behind us there was a winding path, and at the end of the path, a Jehovah's Witness church or assembly hall where they came on Saturdays. And I have a lot of memories of that church, which struck our imagination greatly. And I have a blog post on my blog about it. And a woman recently contacted me, and she has all of these memories of going to Kiryas Joel or driving through Kiryas Joel on the way to the assembly hall. And that's the kind of thing I would love to interview her about her memories. I'm interested in a lot of subcultures. Um, but I'm trying to find the right person. I don't want proselytizing. I'm sensitive to not feeling like I'm bashing or proselytizing, but rather trying to find a balanced, fair representation of different communities. And it's much easier for me to be a judge of the interview subject if they're able to do that for me, if the subject is Hasidic, because I feel like I really get that world, but less so in other subcultures. But I'm trying. No disrespect for people who have a more like proselytizing or have more negative stories to tell. I just want to find a more balanced story for these subcultures, and I'm looking into them. But Messianic Judaism, to come back around to the prompt, is not one of the subjects that I see within the umbrella of what is relevant to my interest. Brooklyn is asking a personal question. Are you still in contact with your son's father, and how does co-parenting work out for you? Well, my son is 19, so co-parenting does not really apply anymore. I have really not been in touch with him since our divorce. If you watched my essay, The Get, which I recorded not too long ago, but I wrote it right after the get. What was so hard was he walked out of the religious divorce, and he was like, just as I became from a stranger to your husband overnight, I am a stranger once more. he spoke to some rabbi, and that rabbi said that he couldn't have any contact with me as soon as the divorce is finalized, and that was it. And I went home and I wrote this essay, which is like a letter to him, because I was having such a hard time with the complete rupture. And I was like sobbing. I was typing through, like tears flying down my face, like I couldn't even see. And eventually I got used to it. We didn't have direct contact, there was an intermediary. And then when my son got older, my son managed the relationship by himself, and that's how it works now. So I haven't seen him in years. I haven't been in contact at all in years. And my son has a relationship with his dad. And now during spring break, his dad took him to Europe and they visited sites where rabbis are buried. They made this like pilgrimage trip, which my son enjoyed. My son is not of the Hasidic world, like he's very much an outsider, where I'm an insider outsider. My son is an outsider. But his dad has always maintained a connection with him. Um, Laura says, I agree. I'm Christian. Watch your channel to learn about Jews. Thank you. B for him says, your blouse is pretty, Eyelet. It's actually a dress. It's a summer dress. See, it goes down to the floor. I'm a recovering Catholic who loves watching, learning about all religions. Amy, I feel the same. I like learning about religions. Brooklyn, I'm sorry if it's too personal. Well, I've already shared everything, so it's not too personal. Um, well, did you ever give a tour for the Babka King? The Babka King is this guy who burst into fame for doing these videos about Jewish food, a non-Jew, and his like exuberance about Jewish food. If you haven't watched the videos, you have to. It's like gonna make you salivate. Whatever work I have done trying to make people excited about Jewish food is like, it's like nothing compared to the Babka King's energy and exuberance, and it made him like go viral for it. But I've never met him. I've never been in touch with him at all. I've had no contact with the Babka King. I feel like I can probably contribute to his canon of Jewish foods, maybe with the crunchy fried lox. I feel like something more. The crunchy fried lox, which I'm working on making famous, is maybe a little more experimental. It's more foodie territory. I would go with something more like solid, everyone loves it, like kukish cake. Um, but so far, I've not had any contact. And I don't know that he lives in New York. Um, I, I I don't know anything about him. Maybe I should pursue it. Myra says, Frida, I live in Stamford Hill, London, 8 doors away from the old age run by nuns. Lived here since '98. The nuns greet me with a smile and hello, good morning, afternoon, evening. Isn't it interesting to pick a life of nunnery? I always wonder about that. I have so many questions in my head about what motivates a woman to decide to dedicate her life to be a nun, because it sounds to me in a way like such a big sacrifice. I mean, I guess not all nuns are celibate, but it's like a very particular kind of sacrifice. And I have no doubt that there are women for whom it's a very rich and meaningful life. I think I come from a world where you're taught that meaning is mostly derived from raising children. And I think that's what makes me so perplexed by nuns, to give up raising your own children. And I know they're in service of many other children, but to give up raising your own children, um, it sounds like such an enormous sacrifice to me. And what would motivate a woman to make this sacrifice? And does she live with regrets, or does she live with like there's so many things I want to learn about the life of a nun. Someone told me privately, do not cover nuns, they're not Jewish, your content is Jewish. But I feel like my content is understanding people's lives that are very different from me. Thank you, Brooklyn, for the gift. That's very kind. Karen says there are lots of nuns in New York City. You should go talk to some. Should I just stop some nuns and say, hey, I would love to ask you about not having any children in life and dedicating yourself in service of others. Can I pry? I mean, people pry with me all the time. Um, Pete Becca says, is there a standard version or edition of the Tanakh for Hasidim? I think so. I think Tanakh is the same for everyone. I mean, it has the same. It's an interesting question. It has commentary like Rashi. You get it with a commentary built into it. I think everyone has like the same. Tell me I'm wrong. Please correct me. Well, Family B says hi from Israel, Tel Aviv. I haven't been in Israel, feels like a really long time. So much has gone down. It's been really interesting in Poland, where I went to the Krakow Jewish Festival. There were supposed to be a ton of big performances from Israeli performers, and the whole event had this kind of a bit of a feeling of melancholy, as a lot of people were like, oh, isn't it great? But this year we don't have a lot of people because they can't come from Israel. Although I saw a lot of Israelis go from New York to Israel via Poland. It seems that El Al flew to Poland, but whatever it is, the Israelis were missing in Poland at the Krakow Jewish Festival. And it's been just like hearing so much without being there in so long. Well, thank you all for joining me and keeping me company. When I recover from surgery, I'm hoping to watch movies, Jewish movies, maybe do a little Jewish movie club. And if I feel up for it, maybe I'll come on here. I am so not used to being home. One of the things about New York City is you're not home much. Like everything is outside of the home. And maybe I'll do more live streams. I thank you all so much for joining me and leaving comments and sharing. Sorry that I didn't get to all of them. It jumps down the screen, so like I can't read them in any order. I just like read them randomly. But if I asked you for something that I'm interested in learning more about it, please maybe leave a comment after the video goes up so I can look further into it. Or actually I can I guess I think I can review the stream afterwards. Christina, I'm having a medical procedure just to repair something at the end of this week. So thank you all for joining me. I'm going to be in touch. It was nice to say hi. I wish you all a good summer or whatever season it is for you. Maybe next time I'll announce a live stream in advance, maybe not. But thanks for the gift. Numbers 12:6. Thank you so much for the gift. Jerry, thank you for the gift. That's so sweet. It comes with a little animation. It says woot. That is very cute. Bye everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the comments.